today's session, we shall learn about self-employment as well as event management. So the word itself tells that self-employment. Here the employment is created by themselves is known as self-employment. So instead of working under some other person, we are creating our own employment is known as what? Self-employment. And the next one is professionals. So under professionals, he should have personalized knowledge about that particular subject. Hello everyone, welcome to the third session of the chapter Business Ethics. I am Harshita, lecturer, Department of Commerce, Vidhyaashram College Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. My dear students, in our previous session we had learnt social responsibility of a businessman towards various parties. In today's session, we shall learn about self-employment as well as event management. Now moving on to the concept, let us know what is this self-employment. So the word itself tells that self-employment. Here the employment is created by themselves is known as self-employment. So instead of working under some other employer as an employee, here we are creating our own employment is known as what? Self-employment. So what is self-employment? Self-employment may be defined as an economic activity. So it is called as an economic activity because we are earning something under this activity. So we are earning our livelihood. So it is known as economic activity which one may perform on his own. So here the activity is conducted by his own as a gainful occupation, and this may consist of producing and selling goods, buying and selling goods, or rendering service for a price. Here this activity includes producing as well as selling goods, buying as well as selling goods, or rendering service for a price. Now what is this producing as well as selling goods? That is manufacturing the goods. So under self-employment, one can manufacture as well as sell the goods as well as buying and selling the goods. Just instead of manufacturing, we can buy the goods from some other person and we can sell the goods to the customers, and rendering service for a price. So even we can render service under self-employment. Now moving on to the next concept, let us see what are the importance of self-employment. So you know self-employment in the sense instead of working under some other person, we are creating our own employment is known as what? Self-employment. So let us see what are the importance. So the first one is benefit of small business. So normally the self-employment is taken by a individual who has less amount of fund. So he can't go for a big organization, right? So for a small unit, so this self-employment is very essential. Whose financial assistance or who is having less amount of fund in his hand, then he can go for this self-employment because this is a small scale business activity. And the next one is preference over wage employment. So this self-employment is very best suited for wage employment. So under wage system, those employment which works under wage system can go for self-employment. And the third one is spirit of entrepreneurship. So as I told, those who are having a less amount of fund, first initially they can go for self-employment because they can't invest more amount of money. So they will go for self-employment, and this self-employment act as a base for entrepreneurship. So when they are successful with this self-employment with a small scale business, then they go for a quite bigger business, that is entrepreneurship. So they can start their own business activity. So they can start their own concern, that is entrepreneurship. So this self-employment act as a spirit for entrepreneurship. So it is a base for entrepreneurship. The next one is promotion of individualized service. So here, if they are giving service, so as I told this on self-employment can indulge in manufacturing as well as selling goods, buying as well as selling goods, and even it can render service to the public, right? So here it leads to promotion of individualized service. Here being a self-employer, so he can give individualized service to the customers. So it leads to the creativity as well as individual aspects of the businessman or the employer to give individualized service to the customer, because he is not dependent on any other person. So by himself he is creating an employment, right? So he can give individualized service to the customers. And the next one is scope for creativity. Of course, there is a lot of creativity which is required for self-employment. For example, tailor. So, tailor requires his or her own creativity in order to attract the customers. So, even he go for self-employment, even he is more creative, he can go for self-employment. So, here it leads to more creativity. In the same way, artisans, poultry farming. So, here the creativity is very important in order to attract the customers. So, scope for creativity is very more under self-employment. And the next one is reducing the problem of unemployment. So, instead of sitting at home being an unemployed, so if he is more creative, if he has some idea, then he can go for self-employment, which can be undertaken in a small scale with minimum finance. So, such kind of individuals can go for self-employment instead of being unemployed. So, he can go for self-employment. Now, let us see what are the recent trends in self-employment. So, the first one is trading. So, what do I mean by trading? So, trading means buying and selling of the goods. So, trading means buying and selling of the goods. Here the employer will not produce a product, he just buy the product or he just bring the product from some other place and will sell the products to the ultimate consumer. For example, grocery shop. Here the products is not produced by himself, so he will just purchase the product from some other person and he will sell the products to the consumer. So, that is trading activity. So, self-employment can also be taken place in the form of trading activity where just buying and selling takes place. And the next one is manufacturing activity. So, here the products is being produced. Here the products has been produced and it is sold to the ultimate consumer. So, for example, dairy, poultry, horticulture. So, these are the examples for manufacturing activity. So, here the self-employment can also takes place through manufacturing. Here the products is being produced by himself and is selling to the ultimate consumer. And the next one is professionals. So, under professionals, he should have personalized knowledge about that particular subject. Then only he can become a profession. So, that body of knowledge should be within himself. So, he should have personalized knowledge about that particular profession. For example, lawyer, doctor. So, these are the examples for professions under self-employment. Next, individualized service. So, here the service of each individual will be unique from that of the other individual. So, here he has to use his creativity. For example, hair salons, fashion designing, tailoring. So, here each individual's taste and preference will be different. So, depending upon the creativity of each individuals, the customers will be there for the product of that particular individuals. So, these are all about recent trends in self-employment. Moving on to the next concept, let us know what is event management. So, in our today's busy schedule, so we are very interested in order to celebrate all the occasions, but we don't have much time in order to plan that occasion. So, there arises a role of event management. So, what is event management? Event management denotes the production of an event. So, here those events which can't be done by us, so will be taken by some other individual. So, that is known as what? Event management. So, they are mainly involved in production of that particular event. A number of people with different skills and roles are involved in its execution. So, it is not the plan of a particular individual. Here the number of individuals are involved together in order to execute that event. And there is considerable interaction between the people and their responsibility. So, here each and every individual in that particular team is responsible for the successful of that particular event. So, event management is nothing but here a number of specialized individuals come together in order to produce an event is known as what? Event management. Now, let us see what are the steps in organizing the events. So the first one is define your purpose and objectives. So the first step is what is the purpose of conducting that event. So it may be birthday parties or school day celebration or college day or seminars. So we have to define what is the purpose. So why we are actually conducting that particular event. So the first step is define the purpose and objectives. So here the seminars are conducted in order to educate, right? So each and every event will have certain objective. For example, birthday celebration. So here the objective is to celebrate that birthday of a child. So here each and every event is not done randomly. So each and every event will have its own objectives as well as purpose. So the second step is decide your target market. So once you are done with purpose as well as objectives of that particular event, so we have to decide who are the target market. For example, in school day celebration, so the target market is children, right? In the same way, for each and every event there are certain target market. So that you have to decide. We have to decide who are the target market. So how to make happy or how to identify or how to impress the target market. And the next one is effective use of resources. So resources may be manpower as well as finance. So we have to make effective use of that particular resources in order to achieve that objective. So objective of that event, so we have to make proper use of finance as well as human resource. Think of a big idea, the wow factor. So what do you mean by wow factor? So the activities which are indulged in that particular event should be unique than that of a other event of a similar kind. For example, if a birthday party is celebrated, so that birthday party should be unique than that of a other birthday celebration. So we have to identify the unique factor in the sense, wow factor. So to be successful, so in event management, so this uniqueness as well as creativity plays a very important role. So the next step is company policies or tactics used. So after going through all the previous steps, so the next step is company policies or tactics used. In the sense, while conducting an event, so where it has to be conducted, how it has to be conducted, why it has to be conducted, when it has to be conducted. So these are the things has to be taken into consideration in order to make the event more successful. So without proper plan, so no event can be successful. So a proper plan has to be made, a proper framework has to be decided in advance relating to conduct of an event. And the next one is determine the measurable outcomes. We can assume things. So how many number of participants can come into the business? Who are the audience? So these kind of assumptions. What would be the budget? So these are the outcomes, or we can predict what may happen in the future. So without prediction, we can't make a proper plan. So we have to predict the outcomes of the measurable outcomes. So that is we have to make certain assumptions. So we have to take into consideration who are the participants, who are the audience, what are the preparations has to be made in order to make the event successful. And the next one is decide the promotional strategies you will employ. So how it can be promoted? So we are conducting an event, how it can be promoted? For example, we are conducting a seminar, so it has to get promoted. So even the participant has to know about the conducting of an event. So we have to, whether it has to be advertised or any other promotional activities has to be made in order to reach the audience or in order to reach the participants. So we have to decide what are the promotional strategies that can be made with less cost so that it will reach the audience as well as participants. And the next one is evaluation of an event. So after all the steps, so the last step is we have to evaluate the event. How to evaluate the event? So we will conduct the activity, so we have to evaluate the event. So whether the event has been successful or not. So depending upon the plan. So whether the plan or whether the event has taken place according to the plan or not. After conducting that event, we have to make evaluation of that event. So if it is not properly evaluated, then it is quite difficult in order to make correction in the future. So we have to evaluate the event properly, so whether it has been occurred according to, or whether it has been conducted according to the plan or not. If not, why it has been not executed according to the plan. So we have to make the changes. So if it is not executed according to the plan, then what changes can be made in the plan. So these are the steps in organizing an event. Now moving on to the next concept, that is 5 C's of successful event planning. So the first one is conceptualization, and the next one is costing, and the third one is canvassing, and the fourth one is customization, and the fifth one is carrying out. Now what is conceptualization? So each and every event, as I told, it should have certain theme as well as venue. So it should have certain theme. What is the main objective of that particular event? Why the event has been conducted? So it should have certain theme as well as venue, where it has to be conducted, how it has to be conducted. So that is about conceptualization. So each and every event should have certain concepts, why it has to be conducted. And the next one is costing. So here the costing is nothing but budget. So we have to decide the budget of that particular event. So how it has to be conducted. So what is the cost of that particular event. So how much budget we have and how much we want again. So what are the costs which may occur or which may incur in various kinds of activities. So that is decided under costing. Next is canvassing. So canvassing is nothing but giving publicity. So publicity about the event. So it has to be communicated to the audience as well as participants or the individuals who will attend that particular event. So how it has to be given or how it has to be promoted. And the next one is customization. So customization in the sense according to the demands of the customer. So whether the events is taking place according to the demands of the customers or not. Next, carrying out. So the last phase under event management is carrying out, that is execution of the event. So these are the C's of event planning. My dear students, in today's session, we learned about self-employment and event management. In my next session, I will continue with the new concept. See you all in my next session. Till then, take care. Thank you.